All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Thank you guys so much, guys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on our very, very special broadcast. If you guys are watching right now and you're hearing me, my name is Jared Barbosa. I'm with Heat Press Nation, and today we're joined by a very, very special guest. We have our friend Jimmy Lamb from Sawgrass. Now, Sawgrass, as some of you guys may know, is an incredible company. They're pretty much at the forefront and top of the sublimation game right now. So we're very excited to have him with us. Jimmy Lamb, thank you so much for joining.
Well, thank you, Jared. It's great to be here. And you know, Jared, I love your last name, Barbosa, because I'm a big fan of Pirates of the Caribbean. So that's got to be useful at places like Disney World, right? You know, get you into the game faster or whatever.
You know what's funny? It actually got me, it got us a table at the Blue Bayou in Disneyland. They were totally booked up, but once they saw my last name, they hooked it up. So yes, very, very helpful.
That's awesome. Next time I go to Disney, I'm taking you with me.
Yeah.
So that could help out a lot. So yes, today our focus is on sublimation, making money with sublimation. And we have a lot of information we're going to cover, and you're welcome to ask questions along the way. You do have a function on your control panel for this particular webinar where you can send in questions and then we can take them and answer them for you. You can do that at any time. We may not get to your questions until later in the presentation, but feel free to ask all the questions that you want. This is also being recorded, so you'll be able to see the video of it on the Heat Press Nation website if you want to see it back in the future. All right, so for getting started, we have a lot of people attending today, and I realize a lot of you are still kind of coming in because there's so many people registered. But what I'd like to do is do a little bit of polling, meaning that I want to find out a little bit about you, which helps me as we go through. So I'm going to ask you some simple questions electronically, and if you just take a moment and answer those, then I can gather a little bit of information, a little bit about who's out there, and that'll help me tremendously. So I have the first poll out there right now, and if you just answer, and I'll give everybody just a few minutes to do this, and then we'll look at the final results of that particular poll. Okay, I appreciate everyone for answering. I'm going to give it just a few more seconds here, and then I'm going to close this particular poll. Okay, wrap it up. If you haven't had a chance to do it, go ahead and do it here, and then I'm going to close this one out.
And one thing I just want to add right now, if you guys are watching on our Facebook Live, this poll is actually open to all of the registered viewers. So if you didn't get a chance to register, but you are watching it on Facebook Live, go ahead and comment your vote below. But otherwise, this poll will be exclusive to all of our registered attendees.
Thanks, Jared. Great point. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close this one down. And when we close this one, it tells us, or tells me that the end results were, it's about 50-50. About half of you are in sublimation already, and about half of you are not. So that's excellent information for me. So I'm going to ask you another question. And on this particular one, I'm asking you, which sublimation system do you use? Realizing some of you don't have a sublimation system, and that is one of the options here. So if you wouldn't mind helping me out on this poll, I would appreciate it.
Okay, and once again, if you're just tuning in and you're watching on something other than the GoToMeeting, if maybe you're watching on YouTube or Periscope, Facebook, whatever it is, this vote is actually exclusive to our registered viewers. But of course, we'd love to hear your opinion, so feel free to comment if you're on Twitter, tweet at us, wherever you guys are at. Thank you.
Okay, if you would go ahead and wrap it up, that would be great. I'm going to give you a few more seconds here so everybody gets a shot, and then I'll close this one out. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this one out, and just for the feedback real quick, in case you're interested, 27% of you are using the Sawgrass SG400, about 15% of you are using the Sawgrass SG800, 15% have other, and 44% no system yet. One final question, then we'll get on with the webinar. And on this particular question, I just wanted to know, do you offer heat transfer vinyl? Wow. I can tell you already that the majority of you do offer heat transfer vinyl, and that's really good information because in reality, if you're doing that already, then you're going to find Sublimation is an excellent add-on to your business because they'll definitely expand what you're doing. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up here, and then we'll be on with the show. Okay, I'm going to close it. I appreciate everyone sending in some responses here. 80% of you are involved with heat transfer vinyl. So that tells me a good deal about what and who is out there tuning in today. All right, so let's get on and start talking about making money with sublimation. And hang on just one second. I had a technical issue. Give me 1 second here to correct it. All right, so we are ready to roll now. Sorry, just had a little technical issue with my computer here. It kind of locked up for a second. Computers, you're gonna love them. So, all right. Sublimation will definitely expand your reach. Now, we just saw from a poll that quite a few of you are doing heat transfer vinyl. So looking at sublimation as a way to diversify your business is an excellent step to growing your business. Now, if you're not in business already, because as we saw, or at least not in the sublimation business, 48% of you do not do sublimation, 52% do. But if you haven't even started a business yet, then you're going to find again, sublimation is an excellent tool because it's so diverse in what you can produce with it. Now, the reality for your business, the more unique products and images that you can offer, the larger your business reach will be. Now, that's very important to understand because if you can reach out, that means you can bring in more customers and also tap into a wider range of markets. And that's what's going to grow your business. The more versatility you have to deliver products, the better. If you start thinking about each and every customer out there, they have a lot of different needs. And if you can supply as many of those needs as possible, then you're going to make more money on each and every order. And I'm going to tell you, sublimation is the ultimate diversification tool. And I want to show you some examples of what I'm talking about. So let's look at some different markets. And this is a neat thing here because we can reach into so many different markets. With sublimation, for example, we can reach into the award products marketplace. Lots of unique substrates out there. And substrate's a term that we use for the different products like you see on the shelves here, okay? We put the images onto those particular substrates, and then of course, we turn around and sell them. And sublimation substrates come in all types of sizes, shapes, materials. I mean, we have things like glass, acrylic, slate, wood, metal. All of these have been produced for sublimation. Now, one key thing to understand if you're not already doing sublimation is that sublimation chemically only bonds with polymers and polyesters. So the different products that you see, the different substrates, those do have a polymer coating added to them so that the sublimation will bond. And of course, you can get those products from Heat Press Nation, as well as your printers and your inks and everything you need to do this with. But we look at the award marketplace, think about that, special events. Businesses, they give out awards all the time to employees and to recognize their staff or, you know, a job well done. We see it in the academics. We see it in sports, in music, in dance, the arts. I mean, we see awards just everywhere. So that's just one of the many things that we can do with sublimation. And very important, we can do it in full color graphics, and we can put in photos. Let me tell you something. What you're going to learn with sublimation, that it's not necessarily what you create, it's what you put on it that defines it, okay? The better the image, the higher the perceived value, which in turn means higher potential margins. So I want you to keep that in mind, especially if you're coming over from the vinyl world, because in the vinyl world, you cannot do high definition photographic images on the products, but you can with sublimation. And that in itself is going to drive the price, the margin that you can generate higher with each and every product and each and every sale. You know, just giving you some examples, you'll see on some of the different slides, approximate cost and approximate selling prices. And considering that the average product that we produce with sublimation only takes about 3 minutes or so to take you through the production process, we can turn products pretty fast. So that adds into further margins because we get more per hour. Personalized products, huge marketplace. You know, in this day and age, everybody's taking photos, okay? We have Instagram just going nuts all the time. And think about all the imaging we see just across social media. Well, a lot of people do like to put those things onto their different products. And again, with sublimation, we can do that. The ultimate personalization is with a photo. Phone covers have been very, very popular. And you can see here an example. This particular phone cover, total cost, production, everything was about $5.50. Selling price, you see, is about $35. So with all that in mind, you got some pretty good markups available to you. So think about that and look at that image again, okay? Why did it get a selling price of $35 on that particular phone? Not because someone bought a phone case, but because of the image that's on there. So imaging is everything. Okay, imaging is everything, and keep that in mind with sublimation because it is a high def process that opens up the doors to so many types of graphical applications. Then we have spirit and fanware products. So when we start talking specifically about sports and maybe the schools and whatnot, lots of different things that we can do. I mean, there are some neat things for sublimation. I list some different things here like stadium seat cushions, laptop bags and sleeves, flags and pennants. I mean, there's just such a wide range of products that we can put the imaging on that really makes the difference. And when we start looking at apparel, you know, typically most of the apparel that we've done to date with sublimation has been polymer based or polyester based. So we do a lot of poly performance products, and poly performance products are considered high end, and you can definitely make some nice markups on that. But recent developments with some of the technologies of the transfer of papers for sublimation means that we now have applications where we can actually put sublimation on the cotton. So that's starting to really change the apparel aspect of what we can do with sublimation. So there's a lot of exciting things going on there. But again, focus on all the different markets that we're able to do with sublimation. Signage. You know, signage, such a wide range of things that we can do with that. You know, from the small end, things like placards and small panels, all the way up to the large end, if you have larger systems, of like a cafe tabletop. So there's a lot going on with that. And I need to add in too that, you know, sublimation is not UV resistant. So traditionally people have shied away from outdoor products. But again, a lot of new developments out there. And we now have products that are available to be sublimated that do have a higher level of UV resistance than ever before. So don't feel like you cannot do outdoor products. There are definitely some products out there that are designed to be used outdoor. And those mostly come into play with signage, okay? Definitely if you're interior, pretty much anything you want to be a sign, you define it by what you put on it. And that goes across the board with sublimation. You define the product by what you put on it. Then we have promotional products, and promotional products, wide range of things there. Probably the #1 promotional product that we do with Sublimation is a mug, as in a coffee mug. We have lots of different variations of mugs out there, but that's proven to be one of the top sellers for the promotional products marketplace. Plenty of other things out there from the low end to the high end. One of the things to understand about promotional products, I mean, really with any market that you work, you have to understand the marketplace. You have to understand what people want. You have to understand what people need, because part of what you do is you find a solution to a problem that someone has, and you're doing it with your products. So when we start talking about promotional products, we're looking to solutions to help people advertise. Now, when you look at a promotional product, I mean, one of the most common promotional products in the world today is an ink pen. And someone prints a logo on an ink pen. By the way, we don't sublimate those. Okay, but the reality is, how many people really see that ink pen? In the world of promotional products, there's a word that we use to evaluate the effectiveness of the product, and it's called impressions. And an impression is when someone sees it. So how many impressions? If you get 300 impressions with something, that meant 300 different people saw it. So if you're wanting to advertise, right, you would like to have thousands of people see it ultimately. But the way that you make the promotional product effective and to get the most impressions is typically you're going to do something that people use routinely, because if they're always using it, then people are always seeing it. And you think again about a coffee mug. You know, if someone that has a coffee mug that they actually use, they walk around with, other people see it, then it's getting more impressions. And one of the little tips I'll tell you when you're dealing with promotional products is personalized promotional products. You want to make sure that that coffee mug gets used. How do you make sure it gets used? Put someone's name on it. So if you actually know, or your customer knows who the end user will be, put a name on there. That becomes their personal mug. And of course, it has the logo that you want to be seen. And that means probably it's going to get seen. Oh, by the way, you can charge more for that name. Didn't cost you much, okay? I guarantee it cost you less than a penny to put it on there, but you can charge more for it. So it actually raised the perceived value of the product by adding it on there. So again, thinking about visualization of these products and having the best graphics, the best images to get people's attention. I mean, that's going to get you sales, and it's going to bring it over and over and over again back to you. You know, I like to show some of the other markets we don't always think about, things like decor and furnishings. I mean, the simplest thing is just pillows. And we, you know, at one time to do a pillow, you had to go to a seamstress and work with her to make it, right? But now we do have pillows made specifically for sublimation. We have blankets made specifically for sublimation. And a lot of times you might be thinking, listen, you know, my sublimation printer is a desktop unit. How in the heck do I get a blanket image? Well, you don't have to do the blanket from one edge to the other. Sometimes you're just putting different images on these blankets and quilts that are made for, you know, sublimation. And then you still end up with something kind of large, you know, so you're kind of putting it together. But one of my favorites that I have here is floor mats. And if you look down there in the bottom left corner, that's a boat, okay? And boaters, because I do a lot of work with boaters, and boaters, I found that if they name their boat and put a logo on it, they'll pay a lot of money to get a lot of products made with that logo, okay? Trust me, they do. It's a great marketplace. I've been working in that marketplace for 25 years. But here you go. There's a floor mat that's sitting there on the back swim platform of that boat, and it's got that boat's logo. And this was done with an SG-800. The cost to make, you know, $12 is probably a stretch, because floor mats are in the $6 to $8 range, typically blank. But, you know, putting in your production cost, everything else, we'll say it's 12 bucks. Sell these things easily for $35. I mean, your time spent, you know, printing and pressing is 3 minutes. And then you just got to put the artwork. You just got to set up the artwork. In this case, the customer has the artwork. So you can do that for boats. You can do that for businesses. You can do that for vacation homes. I mean, it's one of those things that is so easy to do, yet you can make a lot of money off of it. So keep those kind of things in mind. There's just so many cool things we can do with sublimation. Photography and fine art, because when we look at what sublimation is a high-def process. And because it's high def, that means we can do professional quality reproduction of photos, graphics, etc. Okay, and we see fine art Okay, I mean, a lot of times all we're doing is just doing a basic photo on a phone cover, right? But what about when people really want the fine art? They want something that they're going to put in the house, or they want something to do with a wedding portrait, for example. You know, the cost to make a wedding portrait, maybe on a metal panel, 31 bucks. Selling price 150. That may be the very bottom end. When you really look at the final price some of these things are sold for, again, it's not about what it costs to make times 2, because a lot of people use that formula. It cost me $31, so I should sell it for $62. Absolutely not. The perceived value, and I'm really being on the cheap end at 150, but the perceived value of this could easily be $300, $400 or more. And some of the numbers I hear of what people do with some of the products that they create and sell is just incredible. So we see things even that end up in places like museums, reproductions, of course, maybe with sublimation, but high end is what I'm telling you. So the reality is the Sawgrass sublimation systems will produce high-end photography and fine art for you if you have the market for it. So keep that in mind, because there's not a lot of systems out there that can do that to that kind of quality. Okay, so you see we got a couple of different markets. We have lots of different markets. I mean, I'm just telling you, there's an incredible range of markets out there that we can get into with sublimation. As far as ready-made substrates, there's well over 1,000 out there. An incredible range. One of my favorites is like fishing lures. I mean, I've seen fishing lures of sublimation. I've seen toilet seats for sublimation. I mean, there's just this incredible wide range. Though a lot of what our everyday stuff is, it becomes coffee mugs, name badges, one of the top things out there. So my point is we have a lot of things that we're going to sell every day, but then we got a wide range of unique products that we can put in front of people depending on the market that they're in. But the key to get into people's markets and their businesses and start making sales is to create some really good sample kits, okay? Because samples drive sales. So what I have done in my years of product decoration is create sample kits based on specific markets, not on a specific customer. If I want to sell to the schools, I create one that's school focused, but I don't use a real high school. I'll tell you, I don't, because if I use a real school, invariably if I used East Side High and I go to West Side High with that same sample kit, that's bad, okay? Because that's like their arch enemy. So I've found that a lot of times you build a sample kit, you can make a fictitious company or organization and then put creativity in there and really build your sample kit out, okay? So some of the reasons we're going to use samples, of course, is to show people the quality of what we can do. But we always want people to be thinking, because so many times someone will say to you, listen, I'm interested in buying a product. You know, maybe it's a coffee mug. Hey, can you come show me some coffee mugs, right? If you show up with a coffee mug and do a really good job, you'll sell them coffee mugs. But the key is to open their eyes to other products that are complementary. And we call that cross-selling. Cross-selling means, hey, you know what would go good with this mug? Have you thought about promotional products like phone covers? Do you need some signage? What about awards or your sales reps or whatever? So that's the idea of cross-selling. And that's where you see this kit here that at first glance, when you look at this kit, it looks like, there's a lot going on there. But every single one of those products has that company's logo on there. So they are all tied together. And in that particular collection, there's signage, an award, actually 2 awards. There's phone covers that can be promotional products, bag tag can be promotional products. And you know what? If you look closely, every single one of these items has on it either a photo or a really good looking graphic. But most of them have photos, because photos tell stories, right? You need that high impact visual messaging on everything you do. Like if you look at this sign here for the hookers, which they make tackle, okay, fishing tackle, international headquarters. All right. Immediately you see a photo here, and it's a sailfish that's been caught using their lures. All right, and it says world record Atlantic sailfish caught da 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 da. You know, but my point being is the picture tells the story. Okay, so you want to think about that on your products, about telling stories, visual messaging, very, very important. Always be talking to people about incorporating photos and graphics as much as you possibly can. It doesn't cost you any more to put it on there. It costs you the same amount to create something that's a solid color as it does to put in graphics and photos and all that other stuff, okay? So you want to think about that, but you always, when you go in with a kit, You're cross-selling because you're showing them complementary products. And you might be upselling a little bit too, which means trying to take them to a little higher level product. And a lot of times when you build a sample kit, you may even consider having like a good, better, best. You know, if you're showing coffee mugs, you do good, better, best. And the idea is to maybe get them to upsell into the one that has a higher margin for you. So think about that when you build your sample kits. Very important. Here's another one. And the idea also here is to drive in new ideas and concepts, okay? New ideas and concepts. Certainly, show them the standard product ideas, okay? If they ask for something, you want to show them what they asked for, but then show them all those other things. Show them very innovative variations. Chances are your customers don't know what you can do. So you want to be innovative in what you show them. So give them good, positive solutions. And every time I've shown this one, you know, graphically, it's not like jumping out at you, but that's just their logo, right? I mean, that's the way it kind of came out. But people are like, wow, you can do all that with sublimation? It's like, yes, you know. So you're giving them ideas, concepts, kind of driving them where you want to go. And if you do these right, sample kits will actually make a lot of the sales for you if you do it right, okay? And show them really good kits. And I almost can guarantee you that you will make each sale a bit larger, hopefully a lot larger, by showing multiple products. And when you build the kit, notice that everything is related. You don't want a hodgepodge of unrelated things. Everything here was targeted around hospitality. Okay, that's what that particular market focus is. So keep that in mind as you build these sample kits. You need sample kits that make all the difference in the world. Now, the thing I've been saying over and over again, perceived value. People ask me all the time, what do I charge? How much do I mark up? That's the hardest question to answer. How much do I mark up? Because it's only worth what someone will pay for it. But if you can make them feel like it's worth a 500% markup, you could do a 500% markup. So you have to focus on building your samples that you show people, ideas that you share with people, focusing around perceived value, because if you can drive up the perceived value, you can drive up the margin, and you'll get better with that as you go. But that's something to think about. So many times we know what it costs. We're afraid we won't get the sale, so we underprice it. And don't do that, okay? It takes you a while to kind of get past it. I know. I started out as a product decorator in my house many, many years ago, and I was underpricing everything. It took me a while to kind of learn this lesson. And part of that comes from knowing your market. If you know your market, you start to understand what people's perceptions are. So you start building around that. But if you just look at this award right here, see this simple award up here, Mrs. Gomez Teacher of the Year, okay? It's got a picture, okay? And the picture just raised the perceived value because it captured a moment in time. Think about that. It captured a moment in time, preserved it forever, and it added to the value of that. If you had done that engraved, you would never capture her and those kids with an engraving. Nothing wrong with engraving, but you just are not going to get the same perceived value out of it. So you as a sublimator, always be thinking about those little extra things. What are the extra little graphics we can plug in here? You know, what's the right color? Do we have a nice solid background? As much as possible, sublimation, you want to try and sublimate from edge to edge because it looks nicer. Okay, it doesn't cost you more to do it, but it looks nicer. And I'll show you an example of what I mean here in just a minute. Okay, so always be thinking about how to drive up the perceived value. Okay, turn ordinary into extraordinary. So here we have a mouse pad, right? It's a mouse pad. Okay, that's exciting. But what's on the mouse pad is what makes it exciting. We're going to go back to promotional products for just a minute. With most promotional products, you would have put someone's logo on there. And it's like Sally Ann's, okay? That's the logo that you would have put on there, Sally Ann's. And that would have been it. The reality is you don't know what Sally Ann's does or who they are. So when you actually put in with sublimation, say the cheeseburger there, and the menu and the contact information, the key here is it's like a call to action. If you are working at a computer and you actually like cheeseburgers and you're looking at that all day, it's going to make you hungry. And once you get hungry, the call to action is let's check out the menu and call for free delivery. So if you are actually driving the customer into that, that's going to be a much more effective promotional product than their logo. Their logo doesn't really tell you a whole lot. The logo just says Sally Ann's, right? That's it. So we want to get people thinking, turn ordinary into extraordinary, because when you do that, you raise the perceived value. Let the graphics and the images tell a story and deliver a message on everything that you do. Okay, as you constantly work on that imaging, you're going to raise the perceived value, you're going to be successful, and you're going to make more money. You know, if we look at this, and then a lot of times it's like, you know, the customer's always right. Okay, there's some truth to that, but it doesn't hurt to help the customer think outside their box. You can make money with that. Okay, we can make money with that. But what if we did something a little more creative? I call this a digital birth certificate. Here we have an easel panel where we have a picture of the baby, the name, some graphics, the birthday, the weight, the parents. You know, there's some different things going on there, right? But I guarantee you the one on the right, you can make more money on that one than the one on the left. And the one on the right and the one on the left cost almost identical to make. But the one on the right, by virtue of what's on it, you're going to get more money out of it. Now, here's another example. We have an FRP panel with someone's son on the gridiron, right? The family would know that it was him. The rest of us don't know who it is, okay? But what if we did something like this over here where we put regional champs, so we're telling a little story here, okay? It's the Fulton County Panthers, a little bit of identification. Now, ideally, you would also work in this individual's name, okay, to give it more of that personalization. You know, the year that they won the championship, and would chose a substrate that looks like a football and put in background graphics. Now, the one on the left cost a little less than the one on the right, but the one on the right you're going to sell for a whole lot more. So at the end of the day, you put a little bit more money into it, but you're probably going to sell it for almost double what the one on the left would have gone for. And because why? The imaging and the substrate choice put together. You know, here's another example of image. You can make money with that. Sublimation, photography go hand in hand. But what if we create things like this where we put in the exciting graphics, we put in text, it identifies Kristen, it identifies the team. You know, it just adds so much more pizzazz to it. Again, these cost about the same to make, but the one on the right will sell for more money every single time because of the graphics you put on there. So you really got to think about your graphics. I'm telling you, what you don't want to end up with is this right here, okay? And this is so typical. Somebody comes into you, and I've seen this so many times, and they have no creativity. I'm the coach, and our team, we just won the national championship, and you know, we want to get something for the guys, you know. Maybe we put some lettering, you know, above it and below it, the team Hanville Tigers. Maybe you can put a baseball on there. I mean, they're kind of just, they're not designers, okay? And they're just kind of putting things out. Now, if the customer's always right and you listen to the customer, that's what you're going to create, okay? And that's probably not the best thing to create. If you look at something like this, okay, where you got what we call the nuclear baseball in there, yeah, we got some creative lettering too, okay? So we took the time to actually create some lettering, right? But my point being is, which one of these is more exciting? Okay, which one's more exciting? The one on the right, obviously, and it's always going to have a higher perceived value. Okay, and it started with what? The graphic. It really started with the baseball. Okay, and then it went from there. So you got to think about how your graphics impact things. Now, I'm not a graphic designer. I know a lot of you aren't either. Okay, so just hold that thought for a minute, because I'm going to help you a little bit with that. Because I'm one of these people that can actually see it in my head, but I can't get it to come out. And I know a lot of you are that same way. So just start thinking, hey, we got to have good graphics. You know, how are we going to fix that? Again, looking at the concept of dull or exciting. When someone says football, people think of this, okay? Actually, I've trained myself to think of this, okay? I try to make it a point to look at my design collection of like clip art and be really familiar with what's kind of in there. So I start toying with different ideas. So when someone says football, I want something different, okay? I want them to know that when they came to me, they got something that was a little bit more exciting, more unique, whatever. So looking at this over here, which one is more exciting? The soccer ball? Again, people say soccer ball. What are you going to grab? The soccer ball, right? Well, what about the flaming soccer ball? I absolutely love the flaming soccer ball. And there's a lot of flaming ball type images that you can get your hands on. Yeah, someone had to put some interesting, you know, text in there or whatnot, and then the scary kid. But my whole point is I'm trying to show you that idea of taking something and making it exciting for people to look at. And sometimes it's the simplest thing in the world, okay? Like, look at this license plate here. Create a license plate, the Mavericks basketball, it'll work. I can sell that, right? But there's a whole lot of white space. And what if you just put a background in it like this? See, I just put in the background. It, you know, as far as production cost, it adds just really just pennies to the cost to add in the background, but I guarantee you I can get more money on the one on the right than the one on the left just because it looks more appealing. And all I did was what? Put in a background. That's it, okay? So you want to think about that on everything you create. If you have the ability to print it from edge to edge, always be thinking about a background that can complement things but not detract from them, because a lot of white space is kind of boring, to be honest. And most sublimation substrates have a white coating on them. So most of them are white to begin with. So the reality is, think about filling in that white space. All right. So what do you do if you're not an artist? Because I'm not an artist. You don't have to be an artist to be successful in sublimation. You got to know where great art is. Okay. So now I'll tell you a little bit where great art is. With the Sawgrass sublimation systems, when you buy our system, you buy it from Heat Press Nation, you're going to buy a printer. You're going to get a Sawgrass printer. You're going to get Sawgrass ink. You're going to get the Sawgrass color management, which is called Virtuoso Print Manager. That comes all included, okay? No extra cost. And we have a very unique product called Creative Studio. Again, it comes with your system at no extra cost. Now, Creative Studio is a very simple to use sublimation focused graphics program. Even I can use it, so that says something, right? But the idea is we want to make it easy for you to create great sublimation graphics. And one of the key things is we included a whole lot of artwork in there already. Because if you go out and buy a system, okay, like Photoshop, for example, Photoshop doesn't really have any, clip art that comes with it ready to go that's sublimation friendly, so you can start making stuff. So once you buy a program like that, and there's nothing wrong with Photoshop, by the way, but once you buy a program like that, you still got to go out and buy all your clip art and everything else in there. So what we try to do is make it so you starting out with sublimation, you have tools at your fingertips. So as soon as you get your printer up and running, you can start making things right there and have, thousands of images to choose from. So your Creative Studio is going to come with hundreds of templates and thousands of images already built in. Okay, they're already there. Okay, they didn't cost you anything extra. It's there, right there, ready for you to go when you get your system set up. Okay, and it also happens to be an online design system. And a lot of times people ask me, why did you do online? Why isn't that I just don't download it to my system? There's a lot of great reasons for being online, because one thing, when you're online, pretty much if you can log into Creative Studio, you can use it. So that means if you have an iPhone, if you want, I mean, my fingers are too big, but if you have an iPhone and you can log into Creative Studio, which you can actually use it. But really where it gets important is your tablet, because so many times people don't think about, hey, I could go on a sales call and actually design something with the customer, which we can do with Creative Studio. That's one of the cool things about being online. We're in front of the customer. We're actually looking at images together, building these designs while we're there in their presence after showing them, a great sample kit. Okay. Plus, we can use this to create our sample kit. So we got all kinds of great things that come with this. I mean, it's a really cool program. But as I said, the art. Okay. I mean, I've said that from beginning to end. Great art sells, and I'm not kidding you on that. I mean, if you got great imaging, you get excitement from people. You get better margins. You get better markups. Okay. That can make a big difference to you. So think about that. I mean, with Creative Studio, I know if you're already using a graphics program like CorelDRAW or Photoshop, when you get your sublimation system, go check out Creative Studio anyway, because it's got some features in there that will allow you to do and produce quicker. It's kind of in tune with our Virtuoso Print Management Color Management program. The two more or less share information to each other. So it's an integrated system, and it's also designed, around sublimation. So the reality is, great art sells, okay? And Creative Studio is full of great art, Okay, comes with it. Now, we've gotten so much interest in Creative Studio over the years that we've had it out, because it's been out a couple of years now. A lot of our users said, hey, we want more artwork, because they realize the value of having artwork at their fingertips. Okay, and there's a lot said to that, because if you're actually out sitting with a customer and you're trying to find just the right soccer ball with flames or whatever it is, right? The more artwork you have at your fingertips, the better you are, because then you can create right there without saying, hey, listen, I need to go home and research this, and I'll put it together and send it back to you. So the more that you have, the better. So one of the things that we've done here recently with our Creative Studio is, for those that want more than what just the standard Creative Studio is, and the standard is an excellent program, we actually have something where you can get premium content delivered every month into your system. So we have a special membership program, what we call Creative Pass Plus. So Creative Pass Plus membership program, you can get into it for $19.95 a month. So you're not spending a lot of money. Listen, if you guys start buying clip art and looking at the cost of individual clip art and packages and everything else, $19.95 is a steal. Okay, so I know I'm pushing that kind of hard on it, but my point being is, yeah, $19.95 a month, and you can be a member. And right now we got a special offer. This is from Sawgrass, but for any of you getting into Sublimation and with Creative Studio, and if you're already in Sublimation, because I already know that 52% of you out there are already in Sublimation, if you're a Sawgrass user, then you're able to take advantage of moving into Creative Pass Plus with our special offer of 30% off the regular low monthly rate for 3 months. Just use the promo code LOVE30. Okay, gotta love that, right? Now, I tell you, if you want to save a little money, there's another way to do this. If you really say, hey, I'm serious, I want that artwork, because it's coming in lots of different categories and special themes. Like, for example, in March, you'll see St. Patrick's Day themes, right? You want to save more? The annual membership, if you pay it all at once, $199.95, equals a savings of almost 2 months for free. So that's just another great way to build that collection, to get those awesome designs that make a difference. Okay, and that's just something over and over again, is what you put on it that defines the value of it. So you want to keep that in your back of your mind, front of your mind, everywhere, that's what's going to really make the difference. Try to stay away from dull, boring, and ugly, okay? Because there's a lot of that out there. So you want to stay away from that when you can. Okay, the final thing here, now if you want to produce these great looking images on all these great products, go out in all these different markets and sell, you got to have the right sublimation system, okay? And that's where Heat Press Nation is going to come in, because those guys at Heat Press Nation, they know these products are great to work with. They got a great team. They got a great tech support team, and they're just a fantastic Sawgrass dealer. So you want to have a high-def decorating solution to make this work for sublimation, and I would suggest you look closely at our Virtuoso SG400 or SG800. Those are two different printers. They're almost identical, but one's bigger than the other, okay? And when we were looking at the polling earlier, I saw that 28% of you do have the SG400. So that is our most popular startup sublimation system. 15% of you have the SG800. Both of them have the same package, basically. You're going to get SubliJet HD ink. You're going to get the Virtuoso Print Manager. You're going to get Creative Studio. You get wonderful tech support, both from Heat Press Nation and Sawgrass, okay? We don't charge for tech support. If you have an issue, we want you to contact us so we can resolve it. That's what we do. I know a lot of times people have questions about color, and we can help you with that as well. Then we have our business builder programs, where we have all kinds of sales and marketing resources. A lot of it we do through webinars. And today we're doing a generalized Making Money with Sublimation webinar in conjunction with Heat Press Nation. But we also produce webinars that are very specific about going into certain markets, or troubleshooting, or making better quality images, or pricing, all those kind of things. So we have those types of things, and we have guides, different things on our website, and we work closely with Heat Press Nation to deliver information to you as well. So we got just a lot of great things going on. We're continuously looking for ways to share our expertise with you to help you be more successful. And we encourage you to contact us, as well as Heat Press Nation, with your questions. And I mean, so many times I run into someone who's had a question, but they never actually asked us that question. It was kind of holding them back. We don't want that to happen. So we want you to stay in contact with us and let us help you through whatever you need to get your sublimation business up and going the right way. Okay, to kind of wrap things up, I want to tell you what my keys to success are. And I've learned this myself. I've been a product decorator for many years, as well as I'm the education manager at Sawgrass. But here are my keys to success. Number one, great graphics. And let me tell you something else about graphics. It takes just as much time, energy, effort, and cost to make something ugly as it does to make something exciting, okay? So that's what I'm talking about, great graphics. We've got to have the great graphics. Unique products. I mean, do look at all the different substrates and say, hey, how can I tie this in and make this really unique? I'll give you an example. It's with memorial products, okay? Memorial products are things that are done to commemorate someone who has passed on. And you know, several years back, there were people looking for cremation urns for sublimation. There was no such thing. But someone took a jewelry box, which has a nice white panel on the top, and said, hey, it's a cremation urn. It's perfect. And put the ashes in there. They put a little screw through to hold it shut. And they had a picture of the person who had passed on doing whatever their favorite thing in life to do was, like playing golf on the cover. Suddenly, they had cremation urns. And that's what I'm getting at. It's like finding these substrates and then kind of figuring out how they plug in the right way. That's how we get unique products. Creative packaging, and I don't mean a box. I mean, how do you present it? Your sample kits, how you talk about it, the spins and all that you put on there. You got to have the right equipment, because if you cannot produce good quality images every single day, you're going to have problems. Okay, so invest in the right equipment, which means the right sublimation system, the right sublimation inks, the right sublimation paper, the right sublimation substrates, and the right sublimation software, all of which comes from Heat Press Nation and also from Sawgrass, and also the right heat press. Okay, I mean, Heat Press Nation, they're experts at that. Got to have good quality heat press. Final thing, and then we'll switch over to questions, is go where the money is. And what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is figure out the markets you want to pursue, learn that market, and then go after it wherever it may be. Okay, don't sit in your house and wait for things to fall on your head. Okay, go out and find that market, find out how to reach the market, and then go into that market. And the longer you work in a specific market, the more you learn about it, the better you get. And that's one of the things, you know, when you're first out selling, you probably don't get a lot of good sales, but over time, if you learn your market, you'll get better and you'll start making money. And that's what I mean by go where the money is. All right, Jared, you still there? I'm sure he's out there somewhere. What I put up here on the screen for you is my contact information. So if you have questions of me.
Yes, sorry, I still hear my mouse died. I'm on a Bluetooth mouse. It's taking forever to.
Oh,
to
I thought you're
like
me. You forget to unmute sometimes, you know. But,
oh yeah, well, that's yes.
I did put my email there, so if you have questions of me at any point, feel free to contact me with those. And I see a lot of questions have come in, Jared, while I've been talking. I mean,
yeah,
wow, we got a lot.
Yeah, we have a lot of great questions here. I think I'm gonna, if you don't mind, let me send you a couple here. We have a question coming in from Autumn Martin. She's asking,
okay,
can you do sublimation on all colors of shirts? I think you touched on that, but just want to put that out there in the open.
Okay, well, there's a couple of points to that. So the first point is, if we're sublimating, because of the nature of the ink, we really can't do dark colors. Okay, so medium to dark colors we really don't work out very well. White, of course, is the best, you know, for sublimation, and we can do light colors as well. Now, sublimation does not have white ink, so if I have a white soccer ball that I want to put on a red shirt, when it goes to print the ball, it's not going to print any ink where that white is in the ball, because it doesn't have white ink, right? So the color of the shirt red is going to be the color of the soccer ball. So if you actually printed that on a white shirt, you're fine, because everything you need to be white is the shirt itself. So we do have to kind of keep that in mind, that if we need to print the color white on a non-white background, it's not going to show up doing our standardized, you know, methods of sublimation. And dark colors really don't work at all. I mean, even if you take, just a solid color like red and try to put it on black, you just don't get the color you think you are, because digital inks tend to be, for lack of a better word, transparent. And what that means is the background color can, have an impact on the ink color. So when we go to colored surfaces, it will have an impact on the ink color. Now, that's when we're working totally with sublimation on a polyester product, because chemically those two work hand in hand. If you use one of the special transfer papers, and I believe you guys are carrying one of those now, or looking at it, there are some transfer papers that allow you to sublimate on a cotton. And because the ink is applied differently, you can't do dark colors, but you can definitely do white, light, and some medium colors with that. But in general, you're not going to do the really dark, like black, or
Right.
navies and that type of thing.
Right, and if I could add to that, with those new transfer papers, they typically don't do great with photos. It's mostly for solid colored prints.
Yes. Yes, but it's pretty cool what they can do. I mean, that's what I've been amazed with playing with them some lately, is the abilities that it expands for a sublimator within a certain boundary.
Yeah, I like this next question that we have, because you were talking about offering photos, particularly to maybe like wall art being hung on the wall,
Right.
like wedding photos. Surachara is asking, can the fine art and photos achieve high resolution from the SG400 or only from the SG800?
You'll get the same with both. You're going to get the same resolution with both of them. And the real key here, there's two parts, actually three parts. Okay. Part number one is that we do have the right image. Okay. So that we do have a high quality image. Part number two is, of course, the Sawgrass printers, because the Sawgrass printers can, if you have the right image, produce high definition photography. But the third is also the substrate, because some substrates, all of them you can do a really good photographic image on, but some are a little better than others. And I find that like the aluminum panels, the Chromolux panels that are designed specifically for photos, and they're great for the wall, they give us some of the best photographic prints when we're doing sublimation. But yeah, you can do the same thing with a 400 and the 800 as far as the resolution and quality.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Now we have another question. I'm kind of filtering through all the questions here really quick. There was one that I really wanted to ask you. I'm scrolling through
Okay.
them. Well, I know this is kind of a general question. I think this question we could even answer here at HPN, but they're asking, what are the major differences between the 400 and 800 machine? And I know you went over that, but just for anybody who might be tuning in later, rewatching this, might want that summarized. What are the main differences between the 400 and the 800?
Well, to be honest with you, the main difference is the size of the images that we can produce. If you're looking at SG400, your standard paper is going to be like 8.5 by 11 up to 8.5 by 14. If you look at the SG800, that was the 400. The SG400 was the 8.5 by 11 up to 8.5 by 14. SG800, the standard sheet size is 11 by 17. If you add a bypass tray, which is an option that you guys do carry, you can do single sheet up to 13 by 19. You could technically do a sheet up to 13 by 51. I'm not aware of anyone that's making paper that size, but because there are larger sizes that could be produced that unit, I have seen people actually buy larger paper and cut it, to make some larger sheets. An example of what would we use, say a 13 by 24 sheet of paper for? I mean, why do we need to go larger? If you're doing socks that go like all the way up to your knee, and you want to do what we call full bleed, meaning, covering it from edge to edge, you'll find out if you measure from the toe of the sock all the way up to the knee, that's about 24 inches, on an adult. So that it does open up the doors to do some larger things. You'll need a heat press a little bit larger too to help you. So the size becomes the difference. And the reality is, I mean, that they're both great printers. They both have the same, output resolution wise, the same quality, pretty much the same speeds. But when you go to a larger printer, you've got a wider range of products you can produce. And that's one of the things you start thinking about. Two things. Number one, we can do larger size individual products, and we can do greater volume of smaller products at the same time with the SG800 versus the SG400. I will say the majority of people starting up go with the 400. I will also tell you that so many of those people tell me later on they wish they bought the 800, not because they had a problem with the 400, but because as they got into sublimation and saw the things they could do, they wanted to do bigger stuff. And then they realized, oh, you know, that one does a lot of larger stuff. Wish I had gotten that to begin with. So that's really what you're going to find the main differences there. And a lot of it is thinking about what do you want to produce. Now, people all the time are saying, well, I'm just going to do this. But I'm telling you, try to think ahead. Try to really do your research to say, look at all these cool things I can do with sublimation, so that if I actually think through it, maybe the bigger printer is the one I need to start with. So it's totally up to what the customer needs.
Awesome. Now I have some creative studio questions that we had
Okay.
come in here. One from Terrence asking, how many machines can you put Creative Studio on?
Well, Creative Studio is not actually put on the machine. Creative Studio is in the cloud. So
Nice.
It's basically software in cloud, and you can, if you can log into your system, which you can from anywhere in the world, pretty much, you can access it. Multiple people can access it. So once you create in Creative Studio, it will then download it to your Virtuoso Print Manager, which is the software installed on your laptop. Okay, so you create in the cloud, but it downloads to a computer that's attached to the printer, and then you print from that point. So it's not a limit on how much, you know, how many machines per se Creative Studio works with. It works with all your machines.
Beautiful. That's one of the awesome things about cloud-based programs, by the way. I love technology, man. It's awesome.
Yep.
Now, another question from Rose. I know the answer to this, but they're asking, can you upload your own artwork into Creative Studio?
Yes, you can upload your own artwork into Creative Studio. Currently, it has to be a JPEG or a PNG, but absolutely, upload all you want. I mean, now you get the photos and, you know, graphics that people hand over. You know, customer comes with the logo and gives you the logo, you know, on a zip drive or emails it to you or whatever. Yeah, you upload it right in there and go to work with it.
Beautiful. I love it. I love it. Well, I'm going through the questions here. It looks like I feel like there's a lot of questions that got asked, and then you talked about it like almost right after, so it's really good. We're gonna stay here for just, yeah. We're gonna stay on. If anyone's watching, if you guys are in our live webinar and you are in, you know, the go-to meeting, if you have any questions, feel free to put them in now. We're gonna be up here for about just another minute or two before we, you know, we sign off here. One question that just came in from Diane is asking, how long is the promo code LOVE30 good for?
I'm not sure, so you probably better go do it this week.
I like it. I like it.
You know, if you email me, you see my email address up there, I will let you know. And I apologize, I don't know how long that is, but I know it's a promo we're running right now. So, you know, it's oh, okay, I got the answer. It's good for the next month. So it's good for a month. We're going to be running for a month.
Excellent. Well, there's your answer, guys. If you get, and a month just flies by. So if you're
so go ahead and do it today. See?
Yeah, there's no time like the present.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just got an update. It's through the end of this month.
Oh, through the end of this month. Oh, which is
so
7 days.
You got about a week and a half, you know, at the most left. So,
get on it
but you know, why put off to tomorrow what you can do today? You
exactly.
know, so.
Awesome. Well, this is awesome. I think there's just been so much great info.
Yeah, one other thing real quick. I know that so many questions do come in, and there's possible that we miss some. Feel free to contact me or contact HPN. I mean, Heat Press Nation's great company. They can answer pretty much every question I've seen come in here, and they're great people to work with. I mean, I've been working with you guys for several years. Absolutely love it. You got just a great knowledge base there. So feel free, contact me. Contact Heat Press Nation. Listen, we're all about helping you out and getting the right solutions. I mean, that's what it's going to be. You ask the questions you need answers to, we're going to help you out with that. Okay, so do that. That's why we're here.
Awesome. Well, you heard it there, guys. Any other questions? Please feel free to shoot us an email. Of course, if you're watching the replay, you're watching this on YouTube or on Facebook, go ahead and comment your question. We monitor our social media. When I say we, I mean us at Heat Press Nation. We monitor our social media very closely. So please feel free to comment your questions if you are watching the replay, and we'll be happy to get to those. One last thing oh, I'm sorry.
Yep, go ahead, Jared.
One last thing I do want to say is that for everybody who joined us today on the live webinar, we are sending out a promo code. So you will be receiving a free Sublimation blank sample pack with the purchase of your SG400 or SG800 Sawgrass printer. Now, this will help you get started so you can check out the many options that you'll be able to offer your new customers. And this kind of goes hand in hand with what Jimmy Lamb was saying about, having a sample kit available, things that you can actually take on your sales call. So we're going to be sending out that promo code later this week. So just keep your eyes and ears opened out for that. Check your inboxes, and we'll have that there for you guys.
Excellent. That's awesome. And Jared, I just want to say thanks for having me out. I mean, I love doing these things with you guys. Look forward to doing some more with you in the future. So thank you, everyone, for coming in today. And we hope that we answer some questions, but feel free to send us any other questions you have on your mind.
Awesome. Well, Mr. Lamb, thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure having you with us here today. Everybody who's been watching, thank you guys as well. Thank you.